I don't know if you guys know this, that Fox Sports' Paul Pierce, the Hall of Famer, 19 years in the NBA, has the most game-winning buzzer beaters made or assisted on all time. First of all, did you know that?
Yes, I was made aware of that at some point.
Okay.
I think it's like 7 or 8 game winners and 5 assists in that moment also, something like that.
I do think there are golfers and basketball players who get anxious in big moments. And I think there are I've seen quarterbacks get nervous and golfers get nervous. So I want to start with you and then we'll move to Halliburton.
Okay.
Why? I mean, you obviously played a long time. You obviously were comfortable as a closer. Why?
I think at those moments I became more relaxed. I just remember like down the stretch of games, the down the stretch when the close game, it slowed down for me. You know, I envisioned me making a play or making a shot. I always knew what I wanted to do, and I trusted my instincts. But like once I learned to breathe and just relax, you know, when the time is running down, it was easy for me. You know, as a kid, you know, you always put yourself in these moments and you picture it in your head, but then you actually out there doing it. And believe it or not, I missed way more game winners or, you know, game passes than I made. But, you know, I came up pretty big on a lot of them. So, but you got to go through the fire first. Yeah.
What did you make of Halliburton? He could have scored in a layup, turns around, looks at the clock on the other end. I mean, would you have done that? What did you make of that?
Man, it looked like he wanted to attack. You know, the thing I like about Halliburton, he doesn't predetermine what he wants to do. He plays off his instinct. Like he drove, you see he lost the ball and the help came. So he turned, looks at the clock and says, shoot, I'm going to just go for the win. And he went for it, and his instincts just took over. When I watch Halliburton, he has a high IQ, man. It's just he understands the moment. He has the IQ. He understood the stage, and he goes for it.
Yeah, you know, he reminds me a little bit of a lankier, taller Steve Nash, where you always felt, even if Nash won an MVP scoring 15 a game, Steve controlled the game, even if he scored 13 points. Halliburton, Brunson scored 43. I believe Halliburton controlled the game last night. How did you see it?
Yeah, he plays with pace. I mean, think about it. Even on makes, he's pushing the ball. What I love about him, he throws the ball ahead. And you don't see that a lot from these guards anymore. And on any given night, you know, you don't understand when your players actually touch the ball, it feels good just to touch the ball. You know, but when you have a point guard who comes down and you always stand in a corner, you're not involved in the offense, and then by the time you get the ball, you ice cold. And so that's why on any given night with this Indiana team, anybody could be the hero. Last night, obviously, it was Neesmith. The next night, it could be Nembhard. He can certainly get hot on certain occasions. And then don't forget about Siakam. And we seen the big fella, he can light it up too. So that's what makes this team hard to guard. That's what makes them unique. It's his pace and the confidence and the swagger he plays with. And I love the fact that he's embracing being the villain. He reminds me of myself a lot.
Yeah, but by the way, the choke sign. What would you think if you were a New York Knick this morning on that?
Oh, man. It comes with it, man. If I was a New York Knick, I'm like, man, we put ourselves in this position. It's nothing you can do about it. And, hey, that's on us as Knicks because, you know, right now the Knicks are America's team and everybody is looking at the Indiana Pacers as villains. And, you know, listen, the New York Knicks, they had a parade after getting to the conference finals. I mean, come on now. Come on. Yeah. It's just something about the Knicks when players come in there, everybody wants to play well. Everybody wants to give their best. Like some of my best games ever played was in that building. And I told Kevin Garnett this the other day, like when I played in the Garden, it didn't feel like a road game. It didn't. It really doesn't because people, like other teams, embrace going into Madison Square Garden, the environment, the celebrities in front rows. And like a road game is when you go to Indiana, that's a road game. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have the signs up. You're going to have somebody behind the bench talking about you, talking about your girl or something that's going to try to get under your skin. Where New York is the mecca of basketball, and it just doesn't feel like you feel like you're on stage and you want to put on a show.
Yeah, that's what Channing Frye said an hour and a half ago. He said, when you go to New York, New Yorkers, maybe it's Rucker Park, maybe it's Broadway, they appreciate if you drop 40,
yes,
they love you. And that's what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you over there, even the opposing team. I remember being in the layup line. Oh, there goes Spike. What's up, Spike? You know, I'm not doing that with nobody in Indiana. I'm not doing that with nobody in these other arenas. You know what I'm saying? I see Chris Rock or, hey, what's up, y'all? Like, what other arena are you doing that outside of New York and the crypto?
Yeah. So let me ask you, though, and I think we're going to have a great series. I do wonder Boston was a great example. They blew a 20-point lead. I thought it got into their head the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Do you worry that this game is now in the Knicks' head?
I think it has to be, Colin, because like when it happens to you, it can be traumatizing because listen, this has happened on 3 other occasions which Indiana prevailed. Not at this magnitude as the Knicks, but he snatched victory away from teams that pretty much had it in their hand when he did it in Milwaukee in that series. And then in the last series, he did it where they were playing, who were they playing? Cleveland. He did it in the last minute. And now he does it again here in New York. So this has to be, like, you have to start throwing this in the scout report. The game is never over, guys. Like, play until the end.
Right.
You know, and Indiana has shown you that on 3 occasions now.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about SGA and the whistle. So my take is there are certain players. Karl Malone got it. James Harden got it. Jokic gets it. D. Wade did some flopping. That there are players that lean into it. D. Wade was, he played big. Brunson gets the whistle.
Yeah.
But it seems to drive players crazy with SGA, who, by all accounts, is a really cool dude. Like, he was such a nice guy. When you watch him, does it drive you crazy, the whistle he gets?
Listen, I'm always a believer, like, listen, you're gonna have to stay aggressive. If you stay aggressive all night, then you're gonna have to make the referee make a decision. And he just he puts pressure on the refs every play. Like Brunson. It's like you damn near could call a foul every play because think about his body type too. When you look at Shai Gilgeous, he's skinny and strong, and so every little bump is gonna knock him off balance like he's getting fouled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when you got that type of strength as a guy who has a thin frame, but you're aggressive with it, sort of like Allen Iverson. There's going to be nights where you get the benefit of the call because of that, because you're so aggressive, and one little bump, you can make it look like it's like knocking you way off balance to where it's like, wow, come on, call the foul, ref.
Yeah, as a former player and a Hall of Famer, I picked Indiana to win and OKC to win. Yeah. Just looking today, Indiana OKC, if they played tomorrow, there's some similarities. Deep roster, dominant guard. I mean, I'm not saying the series is over, but if New York's going to allow that pace, that plays right into Indiana's hand. We saw it last year. The Knicks got tired. When you watch, I look at OKC is the best team in the league. I'm not sure Indiana is that far behind. What say you?
No, I agree. I said this all season long. I said, man, Indiana's going to be a problem. I watched them in the conference finals versus the Celtics, and they gave them everything they wanted. They're one of the few teams that can run with anybody. They're one of the few teams that go 10 deep, and they got dogs. They got dogs, Colin. I'm telling you, they got about 4 or 5 guys that I could say, hey, listen, I could put him on anybody on the court, and I'm confident that they can guard, or I'm confident they can make shots, or I'm confident that it can be their night. I mean, you look at the way they played. They picked up full court all night last night. I was like, wow, they're trying to wear the Knicks down all night. They picked up whether it's Nembhard, Nesmith. I call the point guard Home Alone, McConnell. Yeah, McConnell. I call him Home Alone. And so
I mean, think about this. Pascal Siakam's a great player.
Yes.
Like last night, you don't even notice them.
Right.
I mean, it's their guards take over. So it's like, you're a good team. That's what I said about the Celtics last year.
Yeah.
There are nights that Jaylen Brown and Derek White were the offense, and you're like, Tatum's the third option. Like,
yes.
I look at Indiana and I'm like, I don't know. I think OKC's better defensively. I think Indiana's more lethal offensively. I think they're a handful.
Yeah, that's hard to scout because, like, ideally you're saying, okay, Siakam is our second option.
Right.
But there's nights where, like, I was watching the game yesterday and I was like, they don't go to him like a second option.
No.
On OKC, okay, Jaylen Williams is their second option for sure. He's
Right.
their all-star. And on other nights, it's going to be Chet Holmgren. On Indiana, I don't know on any given night who is going to be the guy who's going to step up. And that's what makes them unpredictable. It's easier to guard a team like, okay, the Knicks, when I go into the locker room for the scouting report, Jaylen and Cat.
Yeah.
This is the head of the snake right here. And I know how to prepare for that. How do I prepare for any other team that runs, that throws it ahead, nobody cares who gets the credit, extra pass, play for one another. At the end of the day, we'll see where we're at. How do you scout that?
Finally, OKC is young and getting better with a ton of draft picks.
Yeah.
Indiana's mostly young, and the last 2 years, they're getting better. If the Knicks lose this in 5, let's say they give a good fight, but they can't win that. Do they have to go a big move Giannis, a smaller move KD? When you watch the Knicks, is there one thing you watch right now and go, listen, you ain't beating OKC in Indiana the next 3 years. There is something you got to fix. Do you see that?
Well, yeah, I think it's depth at this stage. I think if you talk about their starting five, I think it's one of the best starting fives in all of basketball.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, and so I think they need that one player that they can count on off the bench, whether it's like a guy like Grant down in Portland. I think he could have helped the playoff team this year. A big wing that can play defense and knock down threes that you can count on. Somebody off the bench that you can just count on every night. Like any given night, he can give you 10 to 15, but you can count on that. And you can trust him. If somebody go down, he can fill in as a starting spot. You need a guy like that off the bench, and I think that's what the Knicks are missing when you're trying to make long, deep playoff runs because at this point, everybody's banged up, and you need that guy off the bench who can give you starter-type minutes.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit like the Denver Nuggets. I love their starting five, but they just wore down, and I feel the same way with the Knicks. They both need a really good, dynamic bench player that can give you 14 every night of the year.
Absolutely.
Yep. Paul, as always, the Hall of Famer, buddy. It's great seeing you. Wild night.
Good to see you always, Colin.